All. It's a pleasure to have this webinar with Dr. Vasanth Kumar, who is called the plant doctor. I was fortunate to meet him in Mysore while I visited my hometown recently during the pandemic, and it was a great introduction to Dr. Vasanth Kumar and the kind of work he has done in the field of agriculture, especially where he has helped farming community in terms of helping them to increase the per acre yield and productivity and also provide quality yield to the farmers. And to his credibility, he has a lot of things where he has saved the dying trees. He's brought it back to normal life. Today also I shared an article where he saved a couple of neem trees, which has been a great work. Likewise, he has saved a lot of farmers who were in dire state, and he saved their crops at a very crucial juncture. Uh, he will talk during his presentation amount of work and the kind of work he and his team has done. Uh, he's been a plant pathologist where he worked in across the globe in as an expert on seeds as well as in plant pathology. And he came back to India. The calling was there for him because he wanted to support the fellow countrymen in the field of agriculture over the period, whatever knowledge he gained in the international market. So he wanted to give it back to the country. And he's done a lot of work. And I've personally been in touch with him, met him a couple of times in his home in Mysore. And he's been a very good fellow guide for me and a mentor and coach. Though I was not from an agrarian family, with the kind of inputs he gave, I think I was able to do little bit of experimenting myself, where I was growing plants on my terrace and set up some hydroponic, aquaponic, just was a pilot testing for me. So, along with Dr. Vasanth Kumar, we also have Dr. Chaitra, who is his daughter, who is also in agriculture, is from the background of agriculture science and agriculture marketing. So, she is teaching in the management, agriculture management colleges across in couple of colleges. And she is helping Dr. Vasanth Kumar in his projects in green life spaces. Today, this webinar is coming to Sri Lanka because Dr. Vasanth Kumar has a personal connect with Sri Lanka, which he will talk. I will not take that liberty. Again, this was a good collaboration with 3W Consulting, with Stefan and I were working together on some projects. And then that's when I told him, why don't we do this webinar to the farming community of Sri Lanka, where they can also benefit. The tropical climates are similar, and the kind of crops which Sri Lanka and India grows, they are also pretty much similar. Since Dr. Vasanth Kumar has helped people in this southern part of the country, it is the same thing which probably he will also be able to extend his support to the Sri Lankan farmers as well. Very interesting aspect. Before I could get into this webinar, I was just looking at the GDP and the per capita income. What blew me apart was the per capita of Sri Lanka, which is much higher than the Indian per capita, which is almost double the size of the when compared to India, and which means the Sri Lankan people are richer than the Indians. So that was a very good surprise data which I could find. The GDP contribution for agriculture for Sri Lanka is much lesser when compared to India, because the services sector and tourism dominate Sri Lanka's GDP. But if the per capita, per acre yield is going to grow in the agriculture field, I think the contribution will also increase in terms of the agriculture sector. So in the pandemic in India, the agriculture sector contributed almost 20%, which is almost one-fifth of the GDP contribution. So whenever there is a shift, I think agriculture will support the country's GDP. And I think climatically, Sri Lanka has been having some challenges. I think that is where the farmers also need some support. So I will not get into more of the economic or political details. So I will now hand over the presentation to Dr. Vasanth Kumar. Sir, welcome. I think this is our sixth webinar which we are doing, and I have been passionate with this particular topic where we are helping farmers across India, and now we are moving overseas to Sri Lanka. And our only intent is to make sure our agrarian community will do well, and they can learn a lot from the mixed mistakes which they have been doing, and all your experiences can be shared with them, and that will help them a lot. Thank you for accepting this invite, Stefan. Thank you once again for providing this opportunity connecting with Sri Lankan farmers. I will now hand over to Dr. Vasanth. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Deepak. Thank you very much for inviting me and also introducing me in a very elaborate manner. Uh, Good evening to all of you. I am very much happy to talk to my brothers in Sri Lanka. And I again thank Mr. Deepak for that opportunity. Just 4 years back, I was in Sri Lanka on a personal trip. And now I am being connected to you through this webinar. I hope this will interest you. I have done some work in India, being an Indian, and then I am going to share my experience, the arts, the science, and commerce of agriculture. Okay, I will start with my presentation. Yes, I said the title is The Art, Science and Commerce of Agriculture and My Experience. Well, friends, we all know that food is the first and foremost basic need of all human beings. And COVID-19 has taught us the importance of food because we survived without medication and vaccination, but not without food. So, of course, we all know, but many urban people didn't know the importance of food and agriculture. Now they also, each and everyone has understood the importance of food. And food is not just a thing to eat. It can be a weapon for a country. It is a strength to a country. If there is no enough food in any country, if they are dependent on any other country for food supply, then that is a weak country. Okay, so food is peace, especially for a country like India and even Sri Lanka. We are basically agrarian countries, but because of service and manufacturing, the GDP percentages come down. But the production and the contribution in absolute terms, it has gone up very high. And without sufficient food in any country, we cannot expect peace in the country or peace in the world as such. And enough food supply in a country gives the freedom to the people and to the government, and it gives you the sovereignty. And this food is not manufactured in the factories. It is produced in farms and it is produced by farmers. And if you take Indian situation, when we got our independence in 1 year earlier than you in 1947, our first Prime Minister said, anything can stop, but not agriculture. And we were around 37 to 38 crore people that time in 1947. And our second Prime Minister gave importance to both border security and food security. So he called it as Jai Jawan and Jai Kisan. And when Indira Gandhi became Prime Minister, there was severe shortage of food supply in the country. We were already around 45 to 50 crore people in the country, and we were producing only 50 million metric tons of food, and that was not sufficient for 50 crore people. So she invited agriculture scientists like Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, who was heading Indian Agriculture Research Institute, and assured him of all support from the government to increase the food production. And of course, we know that in late 1960s, Green Revolution happened because of revolutionary wheat hybrids or varieties developed by Dr. Norman Borlaug, who is heralded as the father of Green Revolution, who is heralded as the man who's saved billion lives. And of course, wheat was the second important crop in India. The first important crop to you and us is rice. So Sri Lanka was mainly dependent on rice cultivation earlier. So Indian agriculture scenario was before Green Revolution, it was 70 to 80% of the workforce was involved in agriculture. We are producing 50 million metric tons, and the GDP contribution was more than 50% from agriculture. But the situation was called ship to mouth situation. Only if the ship with grains arrived from United States of America, Indians had the food. Now, after Green Revolution, the workforce percentage has come down to 50%. From 50 million metric tons, we have gone up to 300 million metric tons. In addition to this, we are producing more than 300 million metric tons of fruits and vegetables. And last year, after 17 years, the GDP percentage jumped to 20%. And from the situation of scarcity to self-sufficiency, we have reached. So because of high yielding varieties, we were able to produce more food. And of course, these hybrids needed more nutrition in the form of chemical fertilizers and micronutrients. And also we needed pesticides to control the disease and the insect menace. And of course, irrigation facilities were required to produce more from this high yielding genetics. So there is quantum leap and jump in the production, and we have become self-sufficient, not only in grains, but also in pulses, oil seeds, and of course, all kinds of revolution has happened, even in meat production, egg production, and all kinds of revolutions have happened simultaneously in the country. So we can call it as rainbow revolution in any part of the country. You can see that if you have money, you can buy any kind of fruits and vegetables, not only grains, even fruits and vegetables, flowers, anything you can buy of your choice. So I call it as rainbow revolution because you can see the various colors of rainbow here in these shops. So we have reached from food scarcity to food security, as I said already. And the government has the courage to bring in food security bill because of sufficient supply of food in the country. And they also brought in the right to food law in the country. But after 50 years of Green Revolution, if you look at the farmer situation, they are in big distress. So many farmer suicides are happening in the country to the extent that people have lost any sensitivity to the suicides of farmers. It has become a routine and regular news in all media. And smallholder farmers are the most hit farmers, and actually they are the big contributors of total production. And Maharashtra, Telangana, Karnataka are the leading states where farmer suicides are very high. And even media have failed to project it properly to the policy makers and rulers to address the distress of farmers. And when we are talking about Green Revolution, because of many problems due to Green Revolution, people are talking about going back to organic farming. I don't think that is a practical thinking. We will talk about that a little later. And when you look at the reasons for this dismal situation of farmers, normally we quote these 1, 2, 3, 4 like weather vagaries, biotic and abiotic stresses, increased cost of cultivation, diversion of loan amount towards unproductive purposes, and prices are very volatile, and middlemen are dwindling, squeezing the farmers, and many lenders are also doing the same to the farmers, and farmers are in the receiving end. But the most important but highly ignored fact is that the farmers don't have the knowledge of scientific cultivation, and they don't have the financial literacy as well. So in India, farmers talk more about a demand for scientific pricing from the government. They want government to fix up the minimum support price, and they call it also as scientific pricing. But unless anyone has grown his crop scientifically, there is no meaning for asking for scientific pricing. And this modern agriculture is knowledge intensive and also investment intensive. So if you go to organic farming, it is only labor intensive actually. So you have to physically toil to grow organically. But here, that alone is not sufficient. You have to have the proper knowledge and also have the proper investment facility to go for modern agriculture. So because of this poor cultivation, the green revolution is fading, and it is experiencing the fatigue, and the yields have almost plateaued, and even in certain cases it is declining. Because the reasons for this is reduced productivity, and because of the reduced productivity, the profitability has been diminished, and his lowest repaying capacity has been the lowest, and he is defaulting on the debts, and it is leading to farmer suicides. And these are the things they should be to our Indian farmers. For our Indian farmers, if they have money, they have access to all kinds of high technology in terms of seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and equipment. But even if they're ready to pay any amount of money, the knowledge is not available. So we in Green Life Science Technology, we found that this is a big gap, and if we can fill this gap, we can make our farmers to grow more food and at lower cost. This is what we have proved in our experience. And look at the productivity and comparative yield compared to US, China, and the world average. India is much less. And I don't know what is the situation in Sri Lanka, but they may be better than us. I hope so. But the challenge now is to produce more food because the population is ever increasing, and we have to produce from less resources. And we not only just food, it has to be more nutritious, and it should be more safe in terms of chemical pesticides. So we have to produce this more nutritious and safe food from less land, because land is shrinking, less water because water is becoming scarce, and labor is not available in villages in India at least. And we have to produce more from less, using less chemicals and at less cost. That is the challenge in front of us. So there are main three ways by which we can increase the food production. One is increasing the land area, but I said land area increase is not possible. Actually, it is shrinking. And increasing yield through genetics and our green revolution methodologies, that has seen the fatigue, and it has reached the plateau. And the third important, where we have not given much importance and there is big scope, is by reducing losses due to biotic and abiotic stresses. So in India at least, crop losses due to pests are more than 30 to 35% of the total productivity. So of course, weeds are the major pests among all the pests. And then comes the diseases, 26%, insects, 22%, rodents, 8%, birds, 2%, and others, 9%. This is despite using pesticides worth 32 billion US dollars per annum in India. So for our crops, for all of us, we have human doctors for humans, and veterinary doctors for our cattle and animals. But we don't have real plant doctors to the farmers. So our plant clinics and plant doctors are the owners of these shops. So Once what happened, I was traveling worldwide and attending conferences, meetings, and then in 1998, I had the opportunity to meet our father of Green Revolution, Dr. Norman Borlaug, in International Conference of Plant Pathology in Edinburgh, Scotland. So when I listened to him, I was so inspired. I was working for a multinational company as a senior scientist, and then I decided to quit my job and come back to my villages to help farmers. Uh, because he got, and Dr. Norman Borlaug is the only agricultural scientist to get peace Nobel Prize, though there is no Nobel Prize for agriculture. Though food is important, though agriculture is important, unfortunately, there is no Nobel Prize for agriculture. But even then, he gets it. For his surprise, he gets it. And because he gets the peace prize, because unless there is enough food in the world, there cannot be world peace in the world. So he really helped our India and other countries, and he got Padma Vibhushan award. He was recognized by our government of India. Actually, he deserves to be given Bharat Ratna. And if at all I am alive today and talking to you today, it is because of Green Revolution which happened in India. And interestingly, I am a plant pathologist, and Dr. Norman Borlaug also basically by education he is a pathologist. But when he was sent to Mexico to help Mexican farmers by increasing the productivity, he became a breeder of wheat breeder. Then after developing wonderful revolutionary varieties, he became an extension scientist. He started spreading the knowledge about these seeds, miracle seeds, and started giving these sample seeds to them and teaching them how to use them, how to grow more food. And basically it comes from the fact that he is a big humanist. If he was selfish, he would have gone back to US and settled happily with his family. But after developing such an wonderful varieties, he goes to the countries like India where it was most needed. And he was responsible for instituting the World Food Prize, which is nothing but a Nobel Prize for agricultural scientists. And many Indians have got it, and the first one to get it is our own Dr. M.S. Swaminathan in the year 1987. So I decided, I was working as a plant pathologist in the industry. I decided to become plant doctor to help farmers. So I came back to my roots in Mysore district in Karnataka state and founded an organization called Green Life Science Technologies. And my idea was that I had seen plant clinics in United States. So where the person standing next to me is a plant doctor. She is the one who is an expert in diagnosing the disease and recommending the proper remedies to the farmers. Though only 2% of the farmers are engaged in United States in agriculture, they are all educated and they are all growing their crops scientifically, and still they take the help of plant doctors. So I wanted to start plant clinics in India. And first I started a private clinic in Mysore, free of cost. Though it is private, we don't charge anything to the farmers. Whoever comes to our clinic, they get free advice and on any crops and any problem. So though I am a super specialist in my own right, I am a not just plant pathologist, super specialization is in seed pathology. But I am now able to answer any problem in any crop. So that is what I have become a generalist. If we want to help Indian farmers, we need to be generalist, not a specialist. So we started a laboratory and we started training farmers both in the field as well as in the land. Normally it is said that lab to land. The knowledge generated in the lab should go to land, they say, but there is so much knowledge available with the farmers, traditional knowledge. We should actually bring back to the lab, validate it, and give a scientific reasoning, add your knowledge from your own research, and make a right blend of it and give it to the farmers. And that is what we have done. So we started attracting a lot of farmers to our laboratory, and they were very happy to come and get the knowledge. And there is a Chinese proverb that don't give a fish to a hungry man because you are feeding him only for one time. If you teach him how to fish, he can become independent and he can feed for himself for life, and not only for himself, but he can feed others also. So that is the idea. We started an organization and started training farmers at villages by using various organizations like Rotary clubs and then Lions clubs, banks, and so many other organizations came to our help. And we went to all villages, remote villages, and started training farmers. Hundreds and hundreds of training programs we did, and we brought in a lot of changes in the farmers' knowledge. But of course, that knowledge alone was not sufficient. So, from our experience, it was not just the knowledge, scientific knowledge is sufficient actually, but other things were also needed. So, we started with a vision that if we can empower the farmer, we can empower the nation. Without empowering the farmer, um, and when the farmer is still uh, uh, not doing well in the villages, then nation cannot be stronger. Because villages are the lifeblood of our nation. Farmer is the most important and integral component of any society because he is the one who gives us the food, and he is the one who should be remembered every morning by everyone who eats food. Anyway, we wanted to bring in some new ideas into agriculture. And of course, I was, as an independent researcher, we started thinking differently, away from academic thinking. And we brought in some technology in the form of a product which would increase the resistance power in the plants, increase the vigor of the plant, and it would make the plant to grow fresh roots, fresh shoots, and fresh leaves. So I'm not going to the technicality of these things. Of course, root is a most important organ, but the most ignored organ because it is underground and invisible. But anything happens to the root system, whether biotic or abiotic, then it would affect the entire plant system. And our productivity will come down because of the damage to the. First, we should look at the roots. And we started a laboratory doing a lot of research, and it is in India said that good agricultural practices are needed for high productivity. It is abbreviated as GAP. And actually, there is a big gap in this gap. So we found those gaps. We found that first, basically, there was information gap and then input gap. When you prescribe a medicine or a nutrient, it should be available to the farmer. And he should be in a position to buy it and use it. But unfortunately, farmers didn't have the power to buy them. So we had to help them in giving these critical inputs on credit basis. And as I said, soil, root and soil. So the root health also depends on the soil health. The soil is the basic component in agriculture. So we need to know about the soil fertility and soil health. Both are different. And our World Food Prize laureate, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, says that soil anemia breeds human anemia. And it is called hidden hunger. So our health depends on crop health, and crop health depends on soil health. If we understand this fact, we can do a lot. And we all know that for our own health, we need to eat everyday balanced food, which is the key to good health. So we need to have carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and fat, vitamins and minerals in a right um, ratio. Then only we can have good health and we will have less problem with ills and diseases. So this is how it is compared. So water is important both for crop plants and our own health. And the rice can be compared to the nitrogen and things like that. And we need to have in a balanced manner. More carbohydrate means diabetes in human beings. More sweet, more carbohydrate, more rice, then we will get diabetes. Similarly, more nitrogen means more green, more succulent, more sweet, more susceptible to insect and disease attack. So if you understand the role of these nutrients in good health of the crop, then we can manage many of the things. So these are the essential nutrients. They are available to the plants from soil or manures and fertilizers given by us. Nitrogen, NPK, secondary nutrients like calcium, magnesium, sulfur, they are very much neglected. Only macro, at the most, micronutrients we are using, but we have totally forgotten the secondary nutrients like calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. Of course, if you look at the world NPK used by crops, see, nitrogen is the highest quantity compared to potassium. Potassium is equally important. So we need to understand the role of these nutrients, and accordingly, it should be balanced and given to the crops. Then only we can expect highest genetic potential of the variety. So yield is not just whatever we are seeing. Actually, potential biomass yield is different, and potential yield is different, then field yield is different, then harvested yield is different, and marketable yield is different. So there are so many uh, parameters which decide on these kind of yields. So what has happened due to this imbalanced nutrition and incorrect fertilizer application and low dosage? We have mined out all our soils because we have started growing our crops. See, as soils are depleted, it is said that as soils are depleted, human health, vitality, and intelligence go with them. So we are depleted with all these also. So why the nutrition meaning has happened and our soils are depleted? Because we have started growing high yielding varieties and hybrids. They need more nutrients, so they draw more nutrients. And continuous cropping because of irrigation facility and season insensitive varieties are available so that we can grow them throughout the year. So there is continuous cropping even without any break or rest to the soil. And monocropping, we have mined out a particular kind of nutrients and other nutrients are left, but these are being depleted. And imbalanced fertilizer application, though you have applied a particular nutrient in sufficient quantity, the plants are not able to absorb it because the other nutrients are not available, or there is a pH variation in the soil. And we are using fertilizers without testing our soil and based on the need of the crop variety. And two things are important. One is nutrition, another is protection. So always when most of our crops are definitely poorly nourished, when they are poorly nourished, they are bound to succumb easily to pests and diseases. So first we need to address that. So integrated crop management, the very first step is integrated nutrition management. Integrated means both organic and inorganic. It is not just only organic or just only inorganic. And integrated water management. And thirdly, and most importantly, integrated pest management. Because it's not just chemical methods. We need to adopt all the available wise methods of reducing the pest population, disease quantum, and their spread. And soil health is very important, but they call it a soil health card. Actually, in Indian situation, what they give is the available NPK or at the most micronutrients, and it gives the chemical property of the soil. It doesn't talk about any biological property of the soil. Biological property in the sense, what is the kind of uh, bioform is available, biome is available. And when we talk about these microbes in the soil, they may be both beneficial as well as harmful. If there are harmful microorganisms in the soil, then it is called sick soil. It is not a healthy soil. But our card gives only chemical property of the soil. and they call it as soil health card. That itself is wrong. And because of this lack of knowledge, the fertilizer application is totally wrong in the entire country. Because our farmers are smallholder farmers, they have no access to the right knowledge, and they are blindly applying fertilizers, and this is the mother of all problems. Lack of knowledge of balanced nutrition and how to calculate what kind of fertilizers has to be given, how to calculate that, what is the dosage, timing, and method of application. So organic fertilizers are very, very important for continuous sustainable agriculture production. Because organic fertilizer just doesn't feed the plants. Actually, it feeds the soil, and then soil feeds the plant. Whereas synthetic fertilizer feeds directly the plants and actually doesn't help. See, the roots are going towards the organic manures, not towards more towards the chemical fertilizers. But without chemical fertilizers, we cannot increase the food production. So it is a must. But when you use with organic fertilizers, they don't harm our soils. See the method of application. I am talking here about method of application. They have put fertilizer away from the plant. Okay, the distance is okay, but it has to be put 2 inches below the soil level. Otherwise, and it is not covered. So what happens then? When the rain comes, it washes off, or gets evaporated, and plants cannot take the kind of nutrition, and the plants become highly deficient, and they don't grow normally. You can see the plants are very weak, and you can see the fertilizer just lying there. And happily, weeds are using that fertilizer, and they are growing, and they are competing and dominating the crop. Here, the tobacco leaves are harvested, but still the fertilizer is seen there. And the leftover fertilizer like this will change the chemical nature of the soil. When we talk about depletion of soil, this has happened because of this reason mainly. And see, where is the plant stem and where is the fertilizer applied? And it is a irrigation channel, and easily it will get washed off. And see here, they have not removed the weeds, and they have just put the fertilizers. And actually, they are helping the weeds to grow luxuriantly. Here, he has made some effort to put the fertilizer inside, but the labor who was putting the fertilizer, he has not put inside the hole, and he has not covered it. So again, it is wasted. So because of this, the plants are showing all kinds of deficiency, whereas the weeds are happily growing green. See here. So what is happening? Where is our investment going? Why farmers are becoming poor? It's all because of this kind of poor knowledge. See, actually, this is the way it has to be put. See, already in the hole, 2 kinds of fertilizers were put, and the third fertilizer is being put separately. So all the 3 nutrients, whatever we are given, they should not be mixed and given to the plants. They should be given separately, and then it should be covered. And when the irrigation is given, these fertilizers are dissolved, and it will be given to the root tip. So the plants will easily uptake the nutrients and grow happily. See here, this particular crop, a cucurbit crop, looks very much diseased. Actually, it is not a disease at all. So we don't know the difference between biotic stress and abiotic stress. We assume everything is a disease, and we end up treating them wrongly by using pesticides. And on one side, we are wasting our resources, we are wasting our money, and actually loading our food with poison. See, we treated with a particular nutrient, and we were able to recover this crop within no time, and the crop was extended for 2 more months, and we got extra yield. See this particular ginger crop. See, the crop is white in color almost, especially the top leaves are white in color. Any plant, if the top leaves are showing some deficiency symptom, it is micronutrient deficiencies. This is actually iron deficiency. This is black soil. All calcareous soils will have deficiency in iron. So when we treated with a particular nutrient, the crop recovered within no time. So this particular knowledge is so useful to the farmers. Unfortunately, this knowledge is not available to them. See, the news came that the paddy crop is affected by a particular disease. When we went to make a survey there, and we saw this kind of difference between a local variety and a hybrid variety. And the whole area was affected by that particular problem. And when we found that it was not a disease at all, it was a nutrient deficiency. So when we treated them, this was the kind of result we got. And heavy panicles, heavy yield, and he got nearly 8 quintals more per acre. See the difference. The untreated local variety, untreated hybrid variety, see the panicle size and panicle length and grains. So we need to understand that law of minimum, it is called, deficiency of any single nutrient is enough to drain out the effect of other nutrients. Just deficiency of one nutrient is enough to drain out.
Sir, you need to unmute yourself. Accidentally, I muted you.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry, where did I go? Okay. So because of this lack of knowledge, the soil degradation has happened, and it's a national waste. When we are putting all our fertilizers in this manner, we are it's not just a loss to the farmer, but it's a national waste because most of the fertilizers are imported, and these are from non-renewable sources, and it causes so much of pollution of soil and water, and we are ending up in low productivity. Because of low productivity, we have started growing in more area unnecessarily, and certain crops, especially tobacco, and there is horizontal expansion. So it's not just economy which is important, equally ecology is important. So by using these chemical fertilizers, we should not kill our soils. This has happened all these years because of lack of knowledge. We need to consider ecology equally along with economy. So it is not just the crop loss to the farmer or income loss to the farmer. It's a loss of all kinds of sources we are using to grow a crop, like soil and water, labor, pesticides, fertilizers, our money, our time, and even emotion. We are not happy. We are very sad that we are losing money by growing crops. And imagine how much we are losing annually at national level and how much we have already lost all these years. This is a thing to be pondered over and taken appropriate measures to reduce the losses due to these factors. Again, I said we started using this kind of concept. Like we thought that any crop is a plant. Any crop is a plant. And all the plants will have these organs. One is root, which is the supplier of raw material to the plant. Second is the leaf. Leaf is the kitchen of the plant, where photosynthesis happens. And who is the cook? Chlorophyll is the cook. So we developed a product which will increase the root growth, root development, so that a bigger root system will have better absorption efficiency, nutrition efficiency, water efficiency from deeper layers, from sideways. All it can absorb the moisture and nutrition and supply to the kitchen, that is the leaf. We should have more number of leaves, bigger leaves, so that we can produce more per unit time and space. And who is the cook? Chlorophyll. if we can make the leaves more greener, it means more chlorophyll molecules per unit area, the photosynthesis rate will increase. So automatically the yield will increase. If the potential is there in the particular variety, definitely it is there. We have not been able to exploit that potential. So we started thinking differently, and as I said, we developed a new product called Phyton tea. And because of this, we were able to increase, because tobacco is the main crop in my area, and we wanted to reduce the area under tobacco because it was having horizontal expansion due to low productivity. So it was unnecessarily occupying the area of food crops, and so we wanted to increase the productivity. We used this technology, and we were very successful in increasing the productivity so that we could reduce the area under this crop. You can clearly see the difference between treated and untreated crops. All these, this is untreated field, this is the treated field. Untreated and treated, you can clearly see in the farmer's field the same variety, same soil, same nutrition, and same effort, but look at the difference. Look at the root system, difference in root system, and number of leaves, and size of the leaf, and greenness of the leaf. This is the close-up. The happy farmers, and visited by these fields were all visited by scientists and officers, and we were able to increase the yield beyond anyone's imagination. More than 30% of the highest yield claimed by the developer of this particular variety. And quality, not just the productivity, quality. The green should become gold. So this is, I can say, green gold. You can see the in the background, it is all green. When it is cured, it has turned gold. So it is green gold. So our interference has helped several increase of yield and quality several times. So we were able to decrease the area under tobacco. And to give our critical inputs on credit basis, we partnered with the banks for the recovery. And it is a win-win situation for everyone. So farmer, we treat him as producer partner. We don't treat him as a borrower. We treat him as a producer partner. And Green Life we are the knowledge partner and input and technology partner. Bank is the financial partner to give the loan and also to recover our amount from the farmers. And this product means it doesn't help only in tobacco. Any crop except maybe tree species like coconut and arecanut, it can be used in many of the crops, especially field crops, and fruits and vegetables are the crops where it can be used the best. So this is potato crop. You can clearly see the difference between treated and untreated. So we got a best research award also at Asia level for this technology. And because I was a academician initially, and then I was in industry, all people were curious to know what I am doing after I quit my lucrative job in the corporate world. And all started visiting my laboratory, which is a very small laboratory in Mysore. And many of them have become vice chancellors sitting here. And he was a vice chancellor of, both of them were vice chancellors. And by the way, this is my wife, who is also a plant pathologist, who also quit her government job to support my mission. And these are all the officers from Department of Horticulture visiting me. This is Padma Bhushan Professor Mahadevappa, who is no more now. Anyway, and while everyone was visiting, on one red letter day, one Nobel laureate also visited from Bangladesh. That is Professor Muhammad Yunus. He was interested to know the credit system, what I am giving in the form of microfinance. He was very surprised by looking at our model, but he was very unhappy that I was working on crop like tobacco. So he said, Vasanth, it's all fine that you have developed a microfinance system, but you should be working and helping farmers who are growing other crops. So I was invited to Bangladesh to his office. I went there. Then he suggested me to do more work. And so because of that, we started looking for new area, new crop, and we wanted to face new challenges and provide new solutions. So we, for our luck, very close to Mysore, where Kaveri River comes and there is a lot of irrigation facility available. But nearby there were villages which were devoid of these irrigation facilities, and they were all very, very small farmers. And at a time, though they had 2 to 3 acres of land, they were able to cultivate only 10 guntas, quarter an acre at a time because of poor resources. You can see here how many fields are empty without crops and because of poor resources. See here, very, very empty lands you can see. And you also, one thing you can see, how when these soils are exposed like this in a tropical situation, where can carbon, soil carbon can stay? How can it stay? So it is all being burned because it's an exposed land. So the pre-project scenario was they were all small, resource poor and ignorant farmers, absolutely no knowledge of scientific cultivation practices. And there were uncontrolled disease and insect menace and severe water scarcity. And because of these reasons, the lands were being wasted. The cost of cultivation was very high. And even then, the productivities and quality were very low, poor, and income was low or no income. This was the situation. Poor crop stand and irrigation, so pot watering was the main method of water application, and diseases, varieties of diseases, especially root disease, leaf disease, viral disease, insect menace, and out of desperation they were using, spraying every other kind of all kinds of pesticides, and almost every alternate day. And the highest percentage of cost of cultivation was for pesticides actually. And this used to be the per day harvest, and they used to make very minimum life living. And we, at that time, we entered there. We convinced the farmers. We explained our mission, and we convinced them we have a right background, and we started educating them, and we started introducing new technologies of starting from nursery, soil health management, fertility management, irrigation facilities like drip irrigation, tray technology, and non-chemical methods of insect control like pheromone traps, colored sticky traps, and things like that. And we even educated how to mix pesticides, how to mix fertilizers, how to apply them. We entirely changed the agronomy, space between the plants, space between the rows, all that we explained to them and trained them. And we were able to bring in uniform crop stand. That was the first step towards good harvest. You can see the change you can. And on your extreme right, a boy is standing. He's a graduate boy from the same village. We trained him, and he became the local crop doctor. You can see the enormous increase in the productivity. Flowers everywhere. And 3 generations are here. They're all happy. And we generated so much of employment. Earlier, even youths didn't have work or employment in the villages. Now we have been able to give employment to women, not only just women, even old women. And he is our local crop doctor. He's trained at Green Life. He is given with two-wheeler, a smartphone, a camera, a laptop, and we give him a handsome salary, and he gives the service to all the neighboring villages. He is a real doctor. He has become farmer's friend and troubleshooter. So this is the kind of scenario. Now, even for aged, we have given employment, and flowers have entered everywhere. Bountiful and beautiful, handful of work. Results of floral revolution, sharing the joyous moments. And even they have gone to the level of constructing a new shed for this flower time, making garlands. And you may think that water was the only criterion for low productivity. No, you can clearly see here in the background the river, backwaters of Kaveri River. So here there is plenty of water, but the crop is very poor. And here every technology is used. Technology in isolation is also not the solution. So there is drip irrigation, there is mulching, and it is a demo plot in a agriculture university. And with due respect to all those scientists, you can see here how poor the productivity is. Where is that, and where is farmer's field? You can imagine how many times the yield is increased here. And the earlier situation in farmer's field, and same field here. And market is overflowing. And even women have started trading, and youths have returned. We have from the cities. A reverse migration has started in these villages. These are all happy farmers. You can see the smile. And when I was doing this, I was joined by my daughter, Dr. Chaitra Bharat. And she is an agri graduate and PhD in agribusiness management. And we wanted to start a branch in those remote village. And we got a loan from Karnataka Gramin Bank. And we started a unit called Green Gramin Services, which is an agri clinic and information center for farmers. And this is in respect to Professor Muhammad Yunus. And farmers are very happy because this kind of information is available, and technical support is available, and financial support is available, and there is plentiful of production and money. And we are not relying only on flower crops. We are requesting farmers and educating them to go for vegetables, even for their own sustainability, and also crop diversity and nutritional security. You can clearly see the gradual changes, positive changes happening in these villages. On your right, you see the original traditional door, and on your left, you can see the modern door. And even in the tiles, you can see gradually they're changing to the modern tiles. Here you can see the front portion of the house has changed. See here, the entire house is changed. You can see the changing face of village. And see, one of the farmer has even become a trader, and he has built a bungalow in this tiny village. And this attracted the media attention, and it has come in various languages. So we have brought in this real floral revolution. So we have brought in four benefits here. We call 4 E's: economic benefit, employment benefit, environmental benefit, and emotional benefit. So I went and told our Professor Muhammad Yunus, this is what we have done upon your suggestions. And he said, why don't you present this in Berlin conference? In November 2019, I was invited there, and I presented my paper there, and he was so happy. And we were also very happy. And we are also very good in research. It is extension and the backward linkage to the farmers, but we are very strong in research. We have developed remedies for many uncontrollable diseases, including virus diseases. So before that, I want to tell, because pepper is a main crop, one of the important crops in Sri Lanka. I want to talk about this. This is called black gold, but it is affected by a deadly disease called wilt disease. We were And you see, such a beautiful plantation can be wiped out like this, the same plantation, because of a particular disease. It was totally wiped out. And this could happen because of a disease. And in Mysore, there was an international conference of pepper growers and scientists and traders. And they all came to my tiny lab in Mysore. And they requested me that we should do something for their crop problem. And we thoroughly did the research and developed a package for this particular disease and demonstrated in the farmers' estates. And you can see how the dead vine is sprouting back. You can see the stems, they're all bone dry, dead. But it is because of the root treatment, they are coming back to life. See here, close up. Another vine, another vine, another vine. See how almost the stems are shredding. They are bone dry. There is no moisture. Even then, we have made the plant to sprout back. You can see this coconut frond next to this vine as a landmark. See how this will recover. See that. So we are bringing life back to the vine. And when we can bring life back to the dying vine, why can't we prevent it by doing a minimum treatment even before the occurrence of the disease? Prevention is better than cure. So our treatment is both preventive as well as curative. So we have not only saved the vines, but we can also treat the dying plants, trees. It's a big plant, big tree. Even we treated the dying trees, and we have said this is the latest news. Just a few days back, this has come in various newspapers in Mysore, and this is how we have saved the trees. As I said, viral diseases are the ones there is where there is no cure at all. Once virus, always virus. And once virus, the only recommendation is to uproot them and burn them or bury them, like COVID patients. Okay, that is what? Because COVID is also a virus. So even in human case, there are no medicines to cure virus disease. Vaccination is only a prevention. Vaccination is not a cure. So we developed a product against viruses, which works very well in papaya. We have excellently demonstrated the efficacy of this product in papaya. I am going to show you how we have done it. On your left, you can see the untreated seedling, and it has ceased to grow. Once the infection has started, lower leaves have withered, and other leaves are in the on the way to their death. Whereas on your right, the plant is recovering from the infection. The lower leaves are having the infection, but the new leaves are becoming healthy. You can clearly see the demonstration plot where untreated plants are having a lot of virus and absolutely no fruits in them, whereas the treated plants have got huge size and the plenty of fruits. See the fruits, see the yield. And on your left, you see the 2-year-old plantation with good health and good yield. And many scientists from nationally and international level scientists have visited to see for themselves and believe the efficacy of our product against virus diseases. The team of scientists from Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, Bangalore, and the former Vice Chancellor of Horticulture University of Karnataka, the present Vice Chancellor of Horticulture University of Karnataka, leading virologists of India, and from abroad, Dr. Maruti Gowda from Greenwich University. She is a scientist from Central Food Technological Research Institute, Mysore. And look at the yield, not just curing the disease and making the plant to yield heavily. And you can imagine how much more income farmer will get by using our technology. And this has come in various media, including international media like Fresh Plaza, International Tropical Fruit Network. And if you Google management of papaya ring spot virus, invariably these news will pop up. And I was invited by Greenwich University in London to present my virus work. I went there, and they were doing research on African cassava mosaic virus in Africa. Actually, the crop is a main staple crop in Africa. We started working on cassava because it's a food crop, and we got very good encouraging results in the very first attempt. You can clearly see treated and untreated. On your left is the treated one, on your right is the untreated. Clearly see the biomass and the stem girth and height, everything. See here the difference. See here the difference. And finally, Dr. Maruti came to see the yield. We got excellent yield. See, each plant produced nearly 27.56 kgs of tubers. You can imagine per acre, if you have 1,000 plants, it will be around 27 tons of starch material from 1 acre. Whereas we produce only 3 tons of carbohydrate by growing rice using so much of water and fertilizers. Okay. Well, friends, I coming to Sri Lanka. I love Sri Lanka very much because in my personal life, Sri Lanka has contributed a lot. I will not tell you what exactly it is. So I came there. I just was looking in Wikipedia. The primary form of agriculture is rice production, which is our staple food. And rice is cultivated during 2 seasons there. And of course, next crop is tea. When you talk about tea, I want to tell you a very interesting story from pathology point of view. Until 1880, Sri Lanka was a mainly coffee producer because Britishers encouraged farmers to grow more of coffee because they wanted coffee in England. So until 1880, Sri Lanka was mainly coffee grower, coffee producer, and England was tea drinkers. But 1880, there was a disease called coffee rust. Because of this disease, because there were no very good chemical control available at that point of time, the whole plantation was wiped out, and there was no chance of recovering that crop. And they had to uproot coffee plantation and go for tea plantation. So one particular crop disease changed the cropping pattern in Sri Lanka and changed the drinking habit in another nation, England. That is the power of a crop disease. So you can imagine how important it is to do research on plant diseases and educate farmers on proper management of diseases. Anyway, so tea is one the major export and earning is a foreign exchange earning is through export of tea. And now, of course, vegetables and fruits are required, especially when Sri Lanka is becoming more of tourism destination. All tourists need good food, okay, and especially fruits and vegetables. So I saw in one shops, for example, I am telling about capsicum. They were being sold at 65 rupees per 100 gram. In India, it is 65 rupees per kg, whereas in Sri Lanka, it was being sold at 65 rupees per 100 gram. So I thought there is a big scope to export vegetables to Sri Lanka. But why not Sri Lanka itself grow its own vegetables and fruits? If more technology is required, definitely we can help. And of course, your own country is helping. They have created 2 agricultural tech parks. They call it as A. I will come to that later. So there are 2 agriculture parks established by Department of Agriculture. And the statistics that 27% of the population is engaged in agriculture activities. And it actually GDP share is 7.4% in 2020. And of course, you can clearly see the percentage of share here. And I visited some agricultural exhibition there. And these were the things. These are the rice fields in Sri Lanka. Beautiful scenes. I love Sri Lanka very much because of its topography and weather and people. This is the tea plantation. And of course, coconut is another major crop in Sri Lanka, and a lot of export is happening. Coconut products are being processed and sent to other countries. And the guide who took me to Kandy was telling that we have so many ministers for coconut, one for leaf, one for stem, one for coconut, and one for coil, and things like that. And see the rainbow. See varieties of fruits and vegetables in shops on the way to Kandy. These are the scenarios. I went to visit this Plant Genetic Resources Center, but unfortunately it was a government holiday. I think it was Buddha Purnima or something. So it was a national holiday. I couldn't go inside, but just from outside, from the road, I took some pictures like this. See how this is the tech park. So they are promoting cultivation of fruits and vegetables in a very big way. These are the research fields. And interestingly, I found a plant which is grown in my home also. The name is Thunbergia mysorensis. I am from Mysore. It is named after my town. And you can see here that the origin is South India. And these are the different research plots in that center. And see, cassava is also one of the important crop. I think it is gaining a lot of importance. I'm happy that I'm presently working on this particular crop. Maybe I will be able to help the cassava growers in Sri Lanka as well. This is the APOC. It is called APOC. So with this, I take this opportunity to thank you all for your patient hearing. And I thank Deepak for this wonderful opportunity to talk to you people. And happy that up to 50 people attended. Now, though there are only 39. I'm happy that it is a very good number. It is beyond my expectation, more than my expectation. Thank you very much. And I'll be very glad to answer if there are any questions from your side.
So thank you so much. We will take questions now. And if you have any questions, so I will share my screen. So if you have any questions, we can take now.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vasanth Kumar. It's a very inspiring presentation. You have addressed all the segment, farmer to the regulator level. I think as a bank, I want to clarify that. No, it's like this. Now, you want to produce more, you want to have more land, right? But if the proper managing with all technology inputs, can we increase the productivity rather than enhancing the land? But we have to have land, right? First question. Other one is, if the chemical fertilizer is banning, what will the immediate effect for the agriculture produce in Sri Lanka? As you know, now government is imposing not to import or not use chemical fertilizer. So at that point, what will be the production? And there will be a chain reaction. The produce, if there any scarcity in food, also the recovery of whatever the liabilities borne by the farmer community. Those are the first two questions. What to you, Doctor?
Okay. Well, I said there is no possibility of increasing the land. Actually, we are encroaching into agricultural land to build our cities, build our roads, industries, and things like that. So there is no chance of increasing land under agriculture, at least in India. And in maybe in Sri Lanka, if you want to increase the land, you have to cut the forest. That's all. So deforestation will happen. And I am talking about increasing the productivity only, not the production. Okay, productivity is how much we produce per unit, time, area, and resources. That is productivity. By using less water, less land, less chemicals, less labor, how much more we can produce. That is the idea. If we can grow our crops scientifically, then we can produce more from less. That is one point. Second point is fertilizers or pesticides. We can reduce the quantum of fertilizers. We cannot eliminate chemicals. But there are so many avenues to reduce. By following scientific methods, we can definitely reduce use of fertilizers. If you stop using fertilizers, then it's the end of it. If you call them evils, they are necessary evils. To me, after all, they are food to the plant. And we need the same nutrition in our food for ourselves. Unless you give it to the crop, how can we get that nutrition to ourselves? Soil has limited source of these nutrients. It cannot sustain the entire crop yield. That is a fact. Did I answer your questions?
Yeah, somewhat, yes, it was.
I think, Vasanth, the clarification that is there's been a ban on fertilizer by the government.
Where?
And how will it impact our food security as time goes? So that's the question. I think that also came from there. What are your thought processes on that?
No, it is impossible to ban fertilizers. It is impossible. It is a suicidal decision for any country. It is impossible to have food security without fertilizers.
Yeah, another small question. Now connect to the same line. If we use all green kind of fertilizer or pesticides, the production is, I mean, though the productivity going to improve, but the production will less. So the production automatically, the product price will go up. So that kind of thing happen. Though, I mean, the existing land extent, the production is lesser. If you want to increase the production, definitely we want to increase the land extent. So there'll be a, but I mean, there's no, I mean, there's a mismatch, right? Any answer for that?
No, if you increase the productivity, production will also go high. Why it will come down? Production.
No, I mean,
you are going to produce the same quantity, but by using less resources.
No, I'm connection is to not using the advanced fertilizer.
Without
fertilizers, without that, I mean.
Can you please help Mr. Deepak this question?
A question is if the chemical, I mean the fertilizer and the pesticides users, then the production and the productivity will increase, right? If the fertilizer and pesticides control that ban, what will be the production cost and the productivity? If we want to increase the production to sustain, I mean, to provide ample requirement to the society, so there will be more land to be cultivated. That is my question.
Shall I answer this question? See, you don't have to imagine that. You don't have to imagine that. This is what we have experienced before 1970 in India. I said initially that we were only 50 crore people in 1968 and 50 crore people, we were having only organic farming. We were growing our own varieties and without using any chemicals. There was no concept of fertilizer, there were no pesticides, and we were using all organic methods to grow our food by using our own varieties. Then we were not able to feed just 50 crore people, and today we are feeding 140 crore people. and we are producing 300 million metric tons. We were producing only 50 million metric tons. We had more land, more water, more rain, more fertility in our soil. But even then, we were not able to do that. And if we were able to feed our population, we never needed green revolution. We never needed modern technology, fertilizers, pesticides. No, we didn't need. We don't want even now. If anybody can prove now also, then we can ban it.
Vasanth, so what we are saying is, I mean, obviously it's a suicidal mission. And as you said, food brings peace, and this can be quite a challenge of country's peace if things don't, if normalcy is not restored.
No, we become slaves to some other country who gives us the food. It is as simple as that. They will dictate terms and conditions. Suppose when we were importing free food from America, they were dictating terms and conditions to India. We were only politically free. When in 1947, when we got our freedom, it was only political freedom, not freedom from other things. We were not free from hunger, isn't it? So they will dictate.
Vasanth, I like to pose this question to you on hydroponics. You just mentioned it casually at the onset. Have you all made a lot of progress on hydroponics, and what is your?
I have never tried on that. I have no knowledge about it. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Has India made any progress in hydroponics?
Oh yes, of course. All precision farming is there. Lot of farmers are growing. It's a high investment project, and there is lot of support by government in terms of technology as well as in terms of credit. It is encouraged, and there are a lot of people are doing it.
So do you see, will that be a kind of a strategy for, also as an alternate strategy for production?
India doesn't need the hydroponics. We have plenty of land, plenty of soil, so we don't need that technology.
So it's not part of the strategy of the government.
And it is not for smallholder farmers. So smallholder farmers only produce food for us, not big farmers or high-tech farmers. They produce for rich people. Poor farmers produce for poor people. And majority of us are poor.
So what you're saying is hydroponics is not an economical way of production, is it you're saying?
No, high cost, high quality. So it should fetch more price for the producer. So who can pay it?
So the market appeal is a different positioning altogether you're talking about. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, we have two questions from the chat box. I will just take it up. Mr. Kushala is asking, what is the name of the product which you said, Phyton-T and Power Plus?
Yeah.
Fertilizer, this is the first question. And once you answer that, there is a second question which I will take.
No, they are all growth stimulants. They make the plant more resilient, and it gives more vigor, disease resistance, and it makes the plant to grow fresh leaves and roots and stems, so that the recovery from the disease damage is quicker, and so that it will be normal. So it's a new concept actually. See, otherwise, if there is a disease, you treat the plants to kill the enemy. That's all. It doesn't help the host actually. So you should help the host also simultaneously to recover from the damage, recuperation. Okay, that is the concept we have used.
So are you saying like antibiotics and probiotics, you're using?
No, thank you very much for that word. So it is not an antibiotic, it's a probiotic. Virus cannot be killed. Why virus cannot be cured, virus disease? Because it's not a living thing. It cannot be killed. That's why there is no viricide. For fungi, there are fungicides. For insect, there are insecticides. For nematodes, there are nematicides. For mice, there are miticides. For rats, there are the rodenticides. Okay, so they have created chemicals to kill them, which are toxic to those animals or pathogens. Here, virus cannot be killed because it is not a living thing. isn't it? So you have to make the plant to resist that virus. Okay, reverse the damage. That is the concept.
There is one more question. I don't think we can answer this, but I will just leave it to you. Mr. Pratap has asked, can you explain the Farm Bill 2020 in India? I think it is still under discussion. I don't think we can explain what is
Okay.
it is still not passed by the government. It is still under controversy, and there are a lot of things happening. I think we will park this question for now.
Okay.
So could you please share the slide on partnership section? So Mr. Tyagarajan Tyaraharan, I think is pronounced it. Could you please share the slide of partnership, tech or finance? I think he's asking.
Okay. I can only that slide I can send it to you.
Any more questions? You can please ask. We still are going to continue for another.
Well, this product can be used in red onion, but it is not available in Sri Lanka.
Any more questions?
One more thing, I just asked Deepak from Vasanth. What's your production of organic fertilizer when it comes to liquid forms? Do you have excess production in India?
Which fertilizer you were talking about?
Organic fertilizer in a liquid form. Do you get a lot of?
You mean biofertilizers?
Biofertilizers, that's right.
Yeah. Plenty of company are coming, and there is so much of encouragement by the government to produce these biofertilizers.
So
are being supplied on subsidy to the farmers by the governments.
Do you have quantities for exporting?
No, I don't produce biofertilizers.
No. Does India have quantities for extra quantities for exporting?
Oh yes. Many companies are exporting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Sumati has a question. I think it's a long question. Ma'am, your question is, I'll read the second part of it. With many nutritional properties, this is related to coconut plant. With many nutritional properties, rogospiraling whitefly is rapidly spreading and destroying the production. What is the remedy?
Okay. This is a new menace in coconut. See, for any insect or disease, first we have to look from nutritional angle. That is what I told. When the plants are poorly nourished, they become more susceptible to insect and disease attack. Okay. First, we need to know how much and what kind of fertilizers we are giving to our coconut trees. And of course, in Sri Lanka, there is no problem for water to give water during summer. Okay. But in India, it is a major problem, both water and nutrition. So this is called abiotic stress. This abiotic stress leads to biotic stress. Okay. That is one way of making the plant more strong to resist the attack of these insects. Number one. Second is many systemic insecticides are available. But I don't know if the trees are very tall, how it can be sprayed. I have no idea what kind of facilities available in Sri Lanka. But there are very good chemicals available. But it is better to manage them through nutrition, proper nutrition and water management, especially potassium.
Thank you. Sir.
Potassium is called nutrition for quality and resistance. So we normally give very minimum of, there is one chart I showed, the difference between nitrogen fertilizer and potash fertilizer. That is where we need to look into.
Remember that horizontal bar graph. Yeah?
Sorry?
The horizontal bar graph which you showed.
Yes, exactly.
So any more questions for Dr. Vasanth?
Can you replace chemical fertilizer completely with carbonic fertilizer without increasing the land base and to get the same output?
No, impossible.
Impossible.
Sir, I think you should show your plant doctor book. I think Study reference for people.
Okay.
Have a copy and then
I will take it.
uh,
Thank you, Dr. Deepak. And sir, this is a book I have written called Plant Doctor. This gives a very fair idea how nutrition is important, how to diagnose nutritional deficiencies, how to correct them, what are the different kind of disease symptoms, how to manage them, what are the different kind of insect and mites, and how to manage them. All this is given in a very simple manner, in a pictorial manner, full of pictures.
yes, I also have a copy.
Okay, so full of pictures like this. The first of its kind book. It is written from my experience, and all pictures are taken by me. I am a avid photographer and researcher, and practically I have done demonstrated in the field, and those practical methods only mentioned there, and all available methods are given there.
Deepak, is it available in electronic form or digital form?
No, no, no.
It is a physical form. So is it so how can we make it available?
Anyone wants to buy a copy, that's why I said with the how does it work?
No, we will send it. If you pay, we will send it. You can visit my website.
Maybe Deepak will coordinate that with you. If there's anyone interested, we can, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We can do that, sir. This is question to Dr. Vasanth Kumar.
Yeah.
About your the biofertilizers like Python T and Power Plus, which we are discussing. If anybody wants to buy in Sri Lanka, how can we make it available
Actually, no, I had to get the permission from the government.
from Sri
For
Lanka?
import. Yeah, for import.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's discuss. I'll discuss with Stefan. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, sure.
They can be the marketing partner for you. Then
Exactly.
that can be.
They can work out on that. First, they should get it some samples and trial it, and if they find it useful, then they can think of commercial venture.
Yeah. So if there are no more questions, I think we are coming to the end of this webinar. I'll take one more question if anybody has a question. So, anyone has a question? I think Mr. Rohan is talking. Sir, you are
Unmute it. He should unmute.
I will try from my end. This one.
Okay, now is it okay? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you, doctor. I just have a technical question for me. I'm into liquid fertilizer.
Okay.
It's actually a fish liquid. We call it fish emulsion, or it's an extraction. We have something close upon to about 3.8% nitrogen percentage.
Okay.
We have a small issue on that because we have an issue with the pH level. We need an advice on that, whether now we have something like from 3.5 to 3.7 to 4.7. But government analysis, they say no, you got to have more than 4.7 to 5 up to 6. But our dilution rate is about 1:16. Can you give me an advice on that?
Sorry, I'm not a chemist. But still, my experience is that our products are around 4 only. pH is 4 only. Okay.
Yeah,
and actually, more the acidic of your product being more acidic, it is better absorbed by the plants because plant sap is alkaline. So if your solution is acidic, it is better absorbed by the plants.
Yeah, usually what happens, we have a agent, because usually it goes up to about 8. So we bring it down to 3.5 so that it has to be acidic for the bacteria to live without dying.
Oh,
So-
yours is actually biofertilizer.
Bio, yeah.
No, 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 no,
So,
no, no, no.
acidity,
No, you said it is an extract.
yes,
Does it have any living organism in it?
yes.
Which is that?
Which is like say now say lactobacillus.
Oh, okay.
So we got to keep
What is the
the
role of
bacteria.
lactobacillus? What is the role of lactobacillus?
Well, our production method is fish and molasses,
Okay.
and with the digestion we have lactobacillus.
Oh, okay. But what is the role of lactobacillus in the crop?
To role of the lactobacillus keeps the living organism alive.
No, I didn't get it. No, see, if it is an extract,
Yeah.
okay, it's an animal extract, right? Mine is plant extract. Okay, my products are plant extracts. They don't contain any living organisms.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. So
So here we were told, here we was told like, when we the culturing period is about 21 days.
Mhm.
There are living organisms there in
Why
that.
should it live?
So,
Why the lactobacillus should be living in the product?
when you spray it, and if it is if once it is touches the soil, it reacts. So like
Lactobacillus
say
reacts?
reacts like because it's there is amino acid in that. So through amino acid, so it starts reacting.
Why-
Plus, so
I really don't know that mechanism, so I'm sorry I can't answer your question.
okay, doctor. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you very much. But what you can do is, I don't know, but what you add little bit of seaweed extract.
What's the
Seaweed
percentage?
extract is no, I don't know. You try
Yeah, okay, right.
different
Okay.
dosages to
Yeah,
increase the pH.
to
Because
increase
seaweed
the pH.
extract is also a growth stimulant and it is alkaline in nature. When you add to acidic this alkaline thing, so it will bring up the pH.
pH. All right. Okay. Thank you. And also, doctor, what about EM EM application? Do you know anything about the EM application?
EMF. Can you please
EMS.
expand it?
Sorry.
Microbes.
Yeah.
Significant microbes. What is that?
Yeah. Microbes. Yeah.
Yeah, it is nothing but biofertilizers only.
Yeah. But can that be now? We have an issue like we can't keep it when you when you mix it with S. We can't keep it for a long time. How do we keep it? Because what we do is we spray that to the
I've not
compost.
worked on biofertilizers, so I can't answer your question on a commercial angle.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I think we've got all the questions answered. I think it's been a wonderful session. Thanks, Dr. Vasanth, for addressing the Sri Lankan farming community. And Stefan, especially thank you for giving us this opportunity via 3W Consulting. I think we should do a couple of more sessions if people are interested, and also see how we can connect Dr. Vasanth Kumar and his team, where people have any questions in their crop yield and how green lifestyle and technologies can help the Sri Lankan farmers in increasing productivity. So with this,
Certainly, I think let's take this relationship forward. I think we created a little group called 3W Agro Group, purely for people who have this love for farming, who are corporate executives, who are also in the fertilizer business. Actually, Rohan, who just spoke to, is one of the biggest producers of organic fertilizer in this country, which people don't know much. So he's doing a human service for the country, although it doesn't get that kind of traction from what it should, definitely. So we are creating this interest because a lot of people are showing a lot of interest to grow. I think pandemic has also been one of the drivers of this. Saying that, I think agriculture has been something that we've grown up with as a country from many points, and also from a plantation point. So I think let's take this relationship forward. Let's try to forge a lot more connections with India and Sri Lanka. I'm sure there's a lot of common things that we can share. And I like this whole thing about self-sufficiency in agriculture, and that's something that we have to gracefully have this vision. There are certain national plans, but the question is to what extent they are operationalized is challenged. There is a lot of plans, but execution is being a question. So I think it's a great start, and I think let's try to strengthen this network and have this cooperation going. I'm sure Thailand will be better for you to travel, but I think yet we can start using some of the products if they are within the permission of imports. So I think thank you very much for the doctor to come on his time and share his thought processes. We look forward to maybe reading your book. So most probably we'll see if there's anyone interested, they can maybe we can coordinate and maybe get some books down to Sri Lanka, and I'm sure all of them will like to have a copy and read through.
Sure,
So
sure.
thank you very much, Deepak, for putting this together. Really appreciate it, and I think that's the start and it's the beginning and not the end. I believe a long way forward.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Joining in also, I think it's in a short time period. I think it's a great start. Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a good
I'm
participation.
more than happy to work with Sri Lanka.
Thank you.
And I am sure I can contribute a lot.
Okay.
That is my confidence level. I am not arrogant by saying that. I am very humble, and I really want to help more and more farmers across the world.
So look
I
forward to welcoming you here when it's just.
Yeah.
I can vouch for Dr. Vasanth Kumar. I've just met him during the pandemic while I was in Mysore. So I have been his obedient student, and he's been my coach very patiently. A person who did do agriculture ABCD. So he just put me in the cycle of learning, and I think I'm also experiencing a lot and learning through him with his guidance. And I'm experimenting in the field of agriculture, which
That's
I will
brilliant.
say. Yeah. Let's continue this relationship.
Thank you very
Thank-
much. Yes. Thanks for coming on. Thank you,
Thank you.
Deepak.
Good night. Take care.
Good night.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope we will meet shortly.
Certainly.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
And I invite you all to Mysore sometime.
Yes.
So we will have a very good personal as well as professional relationship.
Absolutely.
As you
Thank
said, it's just a beginning, not the end.
Okay.
The beginning of a long journey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night,
Stay safe.
Mr. Deepak. Thank you once again. Take care.
Pleasure.
Okay, bye-bye.
Always pleasure to have you on a webinar like this.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.